Good morning, Nigeria. I make you welcome. This is Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State in Nigeria. I am Henry Igwebike, and we'll kick off this morning with what we have from our newspapers, and right after that will be a main conversation also for today. Do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can find us, reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am very so honored to have with me, joining me via Zoom from Lagos State, Nigeria, Mr. Gbenga Komolafe, General Secretary, Federation of Informal Workers Organization of Nigeria. Good morning to you, Mr. Komolafe, and thank you for being my guest today.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Can you hear me, sir? All right, so let's try to see if we can get that connection going on, because I can hear him. But of course, today would be another great and interesting time right here on Enterprise Television. We have a long list of newspapers that hopefully we would go through just before we get into our main conversation for today. We have the Guardian newspaper, we have the Vanguard, we have the Weekend Trust, which is the weekend version of the Daily Trust newspaper, and also we have the Saturday Punch newspaper. Can you hear me, sir?
Very well. Very well. I'm hearing you.
All right, so let's just before we get that connection going on, let's see what's happening from the Saturday Vanguard newspaper. We have the big story: economy. Experts disagree with federal government on performance. We have a long list of riders to that particular story. We have the first one, which says Nigeria's economic improvement largely on paper. That's coming from Action Aid. Stability, not enough. We are in a very embarrassing situation. And we have another rider to that story. Nigeria still in debt trap. Economy has not turned corner. And economy looks healthier in charts than it feels in households. Economic reforms. We are on the right path. And that's coming from Muda Yusuf. Different strokes for different folks right there. But the Nigerians living in Nigeria can testify if whether the economy under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had turned the corner, and especially with the growing desperation on the streets and on the faces of Nigerians. We have other interesting story from the top strip. Court holds a PDP convention. It will go on, but the judge insists clashes with Wike and Lamido. We have other growing stories. Blue economy worry cocoa ports slash turnaround time erode Lagos congestion, and that's what we have on the top strip there. And on the bottom strip we have Wike versus Yerima. Tinubu intervenes, peace returns to Abuja disputed land. I guess that's one of the things we'll have to talk about on our main conversation for today. And we have another interesting one. Tinubu reappoints Buba Marwa as NDLEA boss. Good morning, sir. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you very well.
All right. Thank you so very much for your time, as always. So I would love us to start with the Saturday Vanguard newspaper. Economy. Experts disagree with federal government on performance, and we have a long list of riders. Some say that the turnaround for the economy is on paper, and those within the corridors of power said it is not on paper. So how do we distill which is which? Especially as Nigerians living in Nigeria, we can feel the pain and understand what the issues are. But speak to me on what you think on this particular story.
Well, I think, like you said, Nigerians are in a better position to tell whether the economy is performing very well or it's still in the doldrums. And that is better measured by the cost of living. Yes, it is true that right now, cost of food has significantly reduced, and that's not surprising. This part of the year, we have a lot of harvest of food crops, and because of poor storage facilities, and of course, most of these food crops will be so cheap in this harvest period. And in a few months' time, we'll be back to food farming situation. So that should not delude us to the fact that other factor costs still remain extremely high. Cost of electricity. In fact, we have lost count of how many times electricity tariff has been hiked in the past few years. Electricity remains extremely costly. Even data for airtime for communication by the popular GSM has gone astronomical. A few people can easily afford to buy airtime for communications. Of course, we all know the cost of building materials. Another very important factor cost remain on the high side. And these have dire implications for production. It means cost of production remains very high. And it also means that with the depressed pockets of most Nigerians, few people can afford to actually buy the most basic necessities. So from what everyone can see, it's clear that most Nigerians are struggling right now. I don't want to talk about cost of fuel, which, as somebody said, we should be jubilating because there was a slight reduction. But we also would like to remind them that a reduction from maybe 1,000 naira to 930 naira is nothing to celebrate over, especially since the benchmark was about 160 naira before the subsidy on fuel was removed a few years ago on the inception of the Tinubu administration. So I think we can only jubilate about cost of fuel coming down if it goes back to what it was before the so-called subsidy removal, or even lower than what it was at that time. Then we can truly say that there's been an improvement. So with high cost of energy, electricity, fuel, and other factor costs, there's no doubt that most Nigerians are barely scraping by. And I want to add to this economic situation some of the extremely insensitive policies of the government, especially in cities like Lagos, where we have a spate of evictions. We have the massive eviction in Oworonshoki, which everybody now agrees is just about land grabbers seizing people's land to develop those areas for the billionaires. So it was a case of massive dispossession of people's homes. And coming at this time is more than double whammy for poor working people. And this is not new. Over 1,000 of such communities have suffered similar fates over the past 2 decades, with estimated over 1 million people evicted from their homes and livelihoods.
And unfortunately, sir, sorry to interject there. Unfortunately, we do not have enough data, to worry about the informal sector, especially entrepreneurs and enterprises that have had their businesses closed down as a result of this impulsive decision and policies of the government. And why do you think the government of the day fails to understand deliberately that the informal sector of any economy anywhere in the world is the scaffold on which the economy rests? Rather, they depend on the portfolio investors and make us feel like Nigeria is doing well while the informal sector is dying.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, really. Unlike other developed parts of the world, especially the industrialized countries, if the informal sector, or what we broadly call the informal economy in sub-Saharan Africa, employs well over 90%. The latest statistics from Nigerian Bureau of Statistics actually put the figure at 93%. So 93% of active working population are engaged in the informal economy. But unfortunately, like you rightly noted, we have very poor policies to address the gaping development challenges in the informal economy. If we begin to talk to that, but I can briefly broach some of the basic issues. First of all is the palpable absence of social protection of any type. People grow old, nobody cares about any form of old age care and support system, or what we call pension. And of course, when we talk of old age and support, it even goes beyond pension. But even that is not available in the informal economy. And of course, the women of reproductive age in the informal economy are on their own when they get pregnant. And so Nigeria continues to have the unviable record of being one of those who record the highest maternal mortality worldwide. We are one of the highest maternal mortality rates. And that happens in the informal economy because these are people that will not go to the hospital simply because they can't afford the cost of Medicare until it's too late. And usually a lot of women lose their lives and their babies to this terrible situation. So we can go on and on. But it may not be completely true that we don't have data. We must commend the efforts of the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics in recent years. They've actually come up with a lot of data that sectorally demonstrates the prevalence of the informal economy in the economy, and the fact that this one sector that has been lacking in basic infrastructure to work, poor, dismal working conditions. We can talk to issues around occupational health and safety, for instance. We have made a point that just very minimal investments in occupational health and safety, education, and facilities will make a long way to boost productivity and transform working conditions. Welders still go blind because they don't use protective goggles, because they were not trained in the use of protective goggles. Mechanics, especially spray painters, still do their painting without wearing relevant protective clothing, and that exposes them to leukemia or blood cancer. Of course, we are all familiar with the women, especially the rural women who fry our gari that sustain us in the cities. Of course, these women saw a lot of eye problems because of the smoke that got into their eyes. So we can go on and on. The fact being that there's palpable lack of governance and provision of the most basic infrastructural facilities and amenities to make life, to make working conditions worthwhile, to boost productivity and actually invariably advance the economy. So these are some of the issues we have been pushing for. And the point has been severally made that you can't ignore where 93% of your working population, work and hope to achieve anything. Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. But let's move on to the Weekend Trust, which is the version of the Daily Trust for the Weekend, the newspaper. Now let's look at the big story here. Bandits kills 16 vigilantes, they kidnap 42 in Niger. Now the big elephant in the room, Katsina, peace deals without a peace. I'd love us to speak to this issue. This is becoming a new normal in Nigeria, where people are killed, and it's for us normal, as much as it is not a large number, in the rate of 500 persons killed. Once it's between 1 to 50, for us it's normal. But it's a very big issue. Speak to me on Katsina's peace deal without peace. We've seen rural communities have a peace deal with bandits, and the same bandits will turn around to go hunt and kill people in such communities, while our security agencies and the government of the day sit like spectators watching. Speak to me on this and how this affects Nigeria, our economy, businesses, and investment from different parts of the world to Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you. Well, the truth is that what they call peace deals is an atrocious assault on our collective sensibilities. People pick up arms against society. They kidnap, they indulge in wanton killings. And the best we can do is to say we want to make peace. How do you make peace with armed bandits that have decided to make a living through massive killings, disruptions of life, economic activities, kidnappings for ransom, and so on and so forth? In all civilized world, such people are dealt with the harsher severity of the law. You don't make peace with killers. We can address the developmental challenges that constitute some of the underlying factors for banditry. We cannot lose sight of that fact, of the fact that a lot of these people are driven to this extreme because of some of the issues we've talked about. The absence of social protection that elude overwhelming percentage of Nigerians. The fact that people don't even have a job, people don't even have employment. And so, like they say, the high hand is the devil's workshop. And the fact that politicians also harm these people. They harm them for elections, during electoral periods. And when elections are over, it's not so easy to disarm. And so these people go around with their arms. So the extreme violent nature of our politics, the terrible dismal state of our political economy, explains why we're having this problem. And there's no way of solving it without also addressing some of these underlying issues. But be that as it may, the fact still remains that those who made the conscious choice of unleashing mayhem on society, for whatever reason, cannot be dealt with some of the cozy, in the cozy way that politicians have been relating with them. There's no way we can be making peace with people who have made a choice to unleash violence on society. So that approach has got to change. The point has been made severally that these so-called bandits are known to our security agencies, but there has been a lack of political will on the side of the political leaders to actually go after them. And so they prefer these cozy, meetings with bandits and having useless agreements that, not surprisingly, I never respected. I don't know anywhere in the world where bandits respect agreements. If they respect agreements, they wouldn't be bandits in the first instance. And so this attitude has to change. Government has to deploy force when necessary to deal with this situation, by also addressing some of the serious social, political issues that actually have given rise to banditry in the first instance. Politicians must stop harming people because of elections. We must talk to that. And of course, we also have to address the issue of mass youth unemployment. which also fuel this problem.
Very well said. The socio-economic issues, others have blamed a climate change as some of the causes to some of these things. Be that as it may, whatever is broken, can be fixed, but it only takes an expert, to do that. I do not know if the leadership structure we have are truly experts who understand the remote cause of some of these things and how to solve them. But of course, we truly do hope as good Nigerians that things will get better. We will be right back. That is when we return, where we have it that Wike clarifies the remarks after clash with naval officer over Abuja land dispute. In a bit, it's still Enterprise Weekend. Don't go anywhere. My guest will be right back.